Hi, I'm Michael. Thank you for watching Aquarium Tech. Today I wanted to cover a subject, basically the subject of stocking fish in your aquarium. Pretty much specifically just, how you should put it in and, that kind of stuff. But pretty much I have to say, from what I've seen, it's probably the biggest mistake most people make of any, uh, skill level, any experience level, It's an easy mistake to make as well, especially, you get your new aquarium and you just want to stock it full of fish. That's a very easy mistake to make. But probably the first thing you need to do before you even go look at fish before you go look to buy is, really make sure the tank size is appropriate. Make sure the filtering, the water parameters are, up to snuff for whatever fish you're going to get. Like for instance, cichlid, you're going to want to have high pH, probably don't want to put them in a planted tank. Maybe just use regular gravel so it's easier to clean because they are dirty fish. And then for instance, like if you're going to do a loach, you're going to want to have a soft substrate, maybe even sand, depending on which loach, a little bit of current, and you want to definitely have them in a planted tank, that kind of thing. Also, you want to make sure you want to be able to keep up with the care. Like for instance, once again, I'll go back to cichlids, usually they can just live off, cichlid staple or something like that, and, maybe a few feeder fish here and there. And then again, I'll go back to loaches because it's a good example. You'll probably have to feed them, a variety of brine shrimp, bloodworms, cucumber slices. I mean, you have a lot of options, or like even autocinkless catfish, the dwarf suckermouths. You might get them to get the algae off your tank, but I gotta say they're pretty good at it. So the algae will eventually run out, and you'll have to give them some kind of cucumber or zucchini. So you need to make sure that's you can have the care of it. Now going back to what I was saying, appropriate for the tank, first of all you want to make sure you have appropriate filtration. I'll do another video on that, and I'm pretty sure I covered a little bit of that, with gallons per hour. But of course, gallons per hour isn't the main thing, like for instance with canister filters, they might, they do have more gallons per hour on average than like a hang-on back power filter, but if you notice they usually do bigger tank sizes, but that's because of dwell time and the amount of filter media, which is once again saying that gallons per hour is not everything. Also, like what I was going to say, the tank size, 1 inch per fish is not the best rule, okay? Otherwise you'd be able to put an African cichlid in a 10-gallon tank, and that's just not going to work, okay? So really you should probably the 1 inch per 1 inch per gallon per fish rule isn't like that bad when it comes to like little tetras and stuff, long and skinny like Danios and stuff. But you really got to start considering 3 dimensions when it comes to like clown loaches or cichlids or anything that's bigger like arawandas. It's gonna take a it's just not black and white like that, okay? Also, of course, there needs to be enough, beneficial bacteria in there for them as well, between the gravel and the filter, so there's just some things to take into account. And also, I'll probably do another video covering this, but one of the main things is once you've decided on all that when you go to the fish store, make sure you get a healthy looking fish, make sure he's running with the rest of the school or doing his own individual thing like he's supposed to. Make sure he has the proper behavior. You should do some research on whatever fish you're going to get to, make sure you can pick out a good one. Also, probably the biggest mistake, and like I was saying at the beginning, biggest mistake, is that people get too many fish at one time. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people returning dead fish and stuff like that, and I'm telling you, I know it's because they added too many fish at once, okay? And generally, scientifically, theoretically, what happens here is basically the bacteria, the beneficial bacteria that lives, in your gravel, your biological media, and whatnot. Of course, its food is ammonia and nitrite, and some of, depending on what you have, nitrate as well. Basically, your fish and whatever else is going on in your tank is only putting out a certain amount of ammonia and nitrite, so it can only support a certain amount of beneficial bacteria. Well, then you put all these new fish in there, and they're putting out all this new ammonia and nitrite, and that bacteria can't handle it. It takes a while for it to catch up, and by then your fish could be dead. Your ammonia and nitrate levels are just going to go through the roof, and it can lead to what I like to call an MEE, mass extinction event. And there goes pretty much everything you had. Now, it doesn't always lead to that, but it's definitely something that can happen. So you want to watch out for that. Also, make sure you buy from a reputable fish store. That's very important too. Just to share my personal experiences with you, I know Petco doesn't always have the best supplies and stuff, but I've always had good experiences with buying fish from Petco. I've never gotten a sick fish from there, and they also have pretty good service. They'll pretty much take any fish back. If you live here in Brevard County here in Florida, one of my favorite places is the Hackies. They've never let me down either. Usually the mom and pop fish stores, and that's what the Hackies is compared to around here. I haven't had too bad with them. Really, I have to admit, the only really bad experience I've ever had with is, PetSmart. I don't want to really put anyone out there in the gray or anything, but I gotta be honest with you, that's where I've had the most problems. I haven't really bought too many fish from there from now on, but it's usually the mom and pop stores that are pretty good about it, just as long as you do the research, because I know sometimes that they'll try to sell fish to you, but any fish store will do that, and tell you it's okay, and it's actually not. So, it really depends on your research. And also, what I was going to say with, adding too many fish at once, it can stress the other fish or the rest of the environment that's in there. So just don't do it. Not a good idea. A rule I like to go with is no more than 2 per week, or two every 2 weeks. It's a pretty good rule to go by. You won't really have anything to worry about there. Of course, that's depending on the fish and the size of the tank, okay? And also starting out tanks. General rule between like 10 to 55 gallon tanks, just start it out with like 2 to 4 fish, no more than that. And we're talking like zebra danios here, something like that. Also, it's pretty important how you add the fish to the tank. And of course, and like I was saying, the quality of the fish store can also, and I'll show you what I mean here, depending upon where you buy it. I'll show you a technique here. I know they always tell you to float the bag, for 15 minutes, and that you are supposed to do that. But that plastic bag obviously has that water sealed inside of it. Okay, so that means there's no water exchange. The fish isn't actually getting used to the water. He's actually just getting used to the temperature, and that's not really a whole lot when it comes to the whole scheme of things. So what you want to do is actually put some water in there. You want to take the bag, open it and let it, put some water in there, and do it a couple times depending on how delicate the fish is. Let it sit. I'll go from top to bottom again. You let the bag float for 20 minutes. Put some water in. Let it sit another 20 minutes. And if it's not such a delicate fish, go ahead and let him go. But the more delicate, the longer you want to wait on that and keep them in the bag. And like I was saying, depending on where you buy the fish from, you really want to try to get as little water as possible from that bag into your tank. Especially if it's a bad fish store, like I said, you don't know what you'll be exposing your aquarium to. Alright? So I'll go ahead and take the camera off the tripod here, and I'll go ahead and show you the technique I am talking about. Okay. Okay, I have a little bag right here. There's not actually a fish in here, but this will do. As you can tell, that's about what they would fill it up to, okay? Excuse me. Okay, and basically what you're going to do is, let's say this has been floating for 20 minutes. You'll go ahead and if you can, it's a pretty good idea to put, take the filter from the water from the filter outlet like this, as you can see here. I'm just opening the bag here with my hands, and just take it from the filter outlet, and do it a couple times, fill it up a little bit, then let it sit for another 20 minutes, and then if, like I said, if it's a delicate fish, do that 20-minute cycle again. Alright, and oh, I know I wish I had a cut bag here, but usually what I do is, I know it comes like in a knot, kind of, like that, similar to that, that's roughly, just cut right below the knot there, or wherever the rubber band is, right below it, cut about half of it, or you can cut the whole top off of it. If you cut half of it, you can use that top part to, kind of anchor the bag, so just a little tip there. Alright, I think I've about covered it all. If you have any questions, just mail me anyway on the internet, or even send me a private message. Thank you.